Now we have what is the best course of bringing a reckoning for the actions of the past 8 years on everything from torture to illegal wiretapping. There are some who resist any effort to investigate the misdeeds of the recent past. Indeed, during the nomination hearing of Eric Holder, some of my fellow senators on the other side of the aisle tried to extract a devil's bargain from him in exchange for their votes, a commitment that he would not prosecute for anything that happened on President Bush's watch. That is a pledge no prosecutor should give, and Eric Holder did not give it. But because he did not, it accounts for some of the votes against him. That is not the example we should give in a country that believes in the rule of law and believes no one is above the law. There are others who say that even if it takes all of the next 8 years or 15 or 20 years and divide this country and distracts from the necessary priority of fixing the economy, we must prosecute past administration officials to lay down a marker. And of course, the courts are already considering congressional subpoenas have been issued and claims of privilege and legal immunities, and they will be perhaps for years. I think there is another option. And I want to use this lecture as a chance to lay out that other option. You could probably call it a middle ground, but a middle ground to find the truth. We need to get to the bottom of what happened and why, and the reason we do that is so they'll never happen again. One path to that goal would be a reconciliation process, a truth commission. We could develop and authorize a person or group of people universally recognized as fair-minded and without any axe to grind. Their straightforward mission would be to find the truth. People would be told to come forward and share their knowledge and experiences, not for purposes of constructing criminal indictments, but to assemble the facts. Indeed, such a process could involve subpoena powers and even the authority to obtain immunity from prosecutions for anything except perjury in order to get to the full truth. Congress has already granted some immunity over my objection to those who facilitated warrantless wiretaps and those who conducted cruel interrogations. It would be far better, in my opinion, to use that authority not just to wipe the slate clean, but to learn the truth. During the past several years, this country has been divided as deeply as it has been at any time in our history since the Civil War. And that's made our government less productive, our society less civil. President Obama is right that we cannot afford extreme partisanship and debilitating divisions. In this week, when we begin commemorating bicentennial, probably our greatest president, Abraham Lincoln, there's need again to bind up the nation's wounds. President Lincoln urged that course in his second inaugural address some 74 years ago. We should go back and think about that. Rather than vengeance, we need a fair-minded pursuit of what actually happened. And sometimes the best way to move forward is find out the truth, find out what happened, and we do that to make sure it never happens again. When I came to the Senate, it seems like so long ago, the Church Committee, named after Senator Frank Church of Idaho, was working to expose the excesses of an earlier era, when the FBI was used to go after those people who dared to protest the Vietnam War. We've seen some of that come back. We had a hearing where the report was that the Department of Defense had filmed people protesting the war in Iraq, including people in Vermont, including Quakers protesting. I said to the Secretary of Defense, why are you wasting time to find Quakers protesting war? Quakers always protest war. And if you, instead of shipping somebody up to Vermont to find out, turn on C-SPAN. I protest the war on the floor of the Senate all the time. But my point is that the excesses of the past, following the Church Committee's report, did not happen again for years. They helped make sure we didn't commit those mistakes again, but perhaps we arrived at such a time when we have to do that once more. Find out what went wrong so that future administrations, Republican or Democratic, will not make these same mistakes. We need to come to a shared understanding of the failures of the recent past. It's something to be considered. It is something Professor Bernstein, for whom this lecture series is named, might have found worth studying. Bob, it's something that your class may have discussed. We need to see whether there's interest in Congress and the new administration. We would need to work through concerns about classified information and claims of executive privilege. Most of all, we need to see whether the American people are ready to take this path.